dinner table trying to come up with a theme for my son's 4th birthday party. My son mentioned Star Wars, but I dismissed it. Star Wars parties are a dime a dozen. We need something more original. My dad put a bite of asparagus into his mouth and said, "Why don't you have an asparagus party?" "That's ridiculous," I said. "We're not having an asparagus-themed birthday party. Eddie doesn't like asparagus." My son said, "Yeah, I don't like asparagus. I like broccoli." And so it was settled. The next day, I photoshopped my son's face onto a crown of broccoli and sent invitations to all of our friends and family. "Please come to a broccoli party." That might not sound so appealing, but everyone we invited came to the party. There were no regrets. I decorated all in green, of course, and there was a photo cutout thing where you could put your face in and get your picture taken as a piece of broccoli, a cake with green icing, and even a piñata shaped like broccoli. The kids were excited to hit the piñata, but before we did that, I gathered them over and told them the legend of Captain Broccoli. Captain Broccoli was just a regular guy who wanted to be a superhero, but when he went to apply for the job, he found that all the high-stakes, important superhero jobs were already filled, and the only thing left for him to do was to be the superhero for times that weren't really that critical. So if you're trapped under a dresser, you call for Superman or maybe Jesus to help you. But if you get the wrong flavor popsicle, that's when you call for Captain Broccoli to help you. And the way that you call for Captain Broccoli is by saying this: Tiba, tuba, taba, taba, tubba, which is a nonsense phrase from my childhood and a story I'll tell another day. Finally, it was time to hit the piñata. Because they don't make broccoli-shaped piñatas, I had to make my own. And apparently this was a piñata of steel, because every kid came through that line again and again, whacking at this piñata, but nobody could even make a dent in it. Finally, we decided to let the birthday boy, my son, just hit it until it cracked. He hit it 9 or 10 times, and finally, there was a small crack along the top, and the kids began to get very excited. "Hit it again," we said, and the kids got poised with their loot bags ready in their ready positions, ready to pounce, and they started chanting for my son, "Eddie, Eddie, Eddie." And finally, he took another whack at it. The piñata burst open. The kids were foaming at the mouth. And you should have seen their little faces when nothing came out of that piñata but raw broccoli. I thought that it was just going to be funny, but it was actually a fascinating psychological experiment. Some of the kids got down on the ground and began scooping up as much as they could, as quickly as they could. They didn't even flinch. These kids might have come from vegetarian households, but I think there's a certain population of children that would go after anything, maybe dog poop, as long as it came flying out of a piñata. These kids are going to fight other kids for it. Most of the kids stood there dumbfounded, with their mouths hanging open, glaring at me, not really knowing what to do. My husband was in the background saying, "It's broccoli, it's good for you." And some of them reluctantly bent down and started filling their bags. Watched one little girl fill her bag, and then when she thought no one was looking, quietly dump it out and move away. I thought this would be fun, but I started to think that maybe this hadn't been such a good idea when I noticed that a few of the kids were actually crying, real tears, and I heard one little girl say, "I expected it to be candy that would come out of there." And I thought, well, no kidding, that's the joke. But that's when I realized it was time to remind the children, who do you call when things don't go your way? Who do you call for help? And they just looked at me and said, "We're not playing this game. You've done enough damage." I said, "Guys, trust me, who do you call?" And one angry little boy said, "Captain Broccoli." "And how do you call him?" They didn't remember. I reminded them, "Tiba, tuba, taba, taba, tubba." Again, "Tiba, tuba, taba, taba, tubba." Again, "Tiba, tuba, taba, taba, tubba." And on the third round, Captain Broccoli, the actual Captain Broccoli, in the form of my slightly inebriated brother, wearing green tights, a cape, a Zorro mask, and a magnificent 2-foot-high helmet of broccoli came leaping off the deck, scattering candy to children who were crying and saving the day. The children who were crying began to laugh through their tears. And the following year, we had a Star Wars party. But I like to think that the children learned a valuable lesson that day. Sometimes in life, you have to put broccoli in the piñata just to see what will happen. Thank you. Thank you, Lacey.